공지사항 알려드립니다. 2021 여름 SAT 프로그램을 성황리에 마치고 새로운 2021 가을 SAT 프로그램이 다가오는 10월 9일부터 시작합니다. 이 프로그램은 12월 4일 SAT 시험을 목표로 둔 학생들을 위한 프로그램이라는 점 미리 알려드립니다. 학생들의 스케줄을 최대한 고려하여 수업은 매주 토요일, 일요일로 진행되며 매주 수요일에는 수업 이외로 학생들이 자유롭게 질문할 수 있는 수학, 영어 각각 2시간의 오피스 아워가 제공됩니다. 자세한 스케줄은 웹사이트 snap-sat.com을 통해 확인하실 수 있습니다. 혹여 봉사활동이나 특별활동 혹은 다른 개인적인 사정으로 인해 수업에 불참하게 되더라도 매번 수업의 녹화본이 메이크업 링크로 학생들에게 제공되기 때문에 학생 본인이 편리한 시간에 놓친 수업을 들을 수 있습니다. 해서 시간대가 맞지 않아 수업을 듣지 못하거나 혹은 주말에 타이트하게 수업을 하는 것이 부담이 되는 학생들 역시 본인의 페이스에 맞게 수업에 참여할 수 있습니다. 6주 혹은 8주 프로그램을 등록하실 수 있으며 6주와 8주의 유일한 차이점은 2주분의 수업을 더 듣느냐 마느냐의 차이일 뿐 수업 내용 등은 전체적으로 동일하다는 점 알려드립니다. 수학 부분은 제가 직접 수업을 진행하고 영어 부분은 저희 강사진 중 한 명인 레이 킴 선생님께서 도맡아 수업을 진행해 주십니다. 레이 선생님에 대한 간략한 소개 및 두 강사들의 샘플 강의 영상 링크들을 아래 설명란에 달아드릴 것이니 등록을 하시기 전에 꼭 자녀분과 함께 시청해 보시기 바랍니다. 학부모님들의 관심과 성원에 감사드리며 믿고 맡겨주시는 만큼 저와 레이 선생님 모두 차질 없이 준비할 수 있도록 최선을 다하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samantha Shelton. I attend Harvard College. I'm a swimmer on the team. I currently am studying psychology with a secondary in economics, and I am a junior but a social senior, so I took a gap year in 2020. Yes, I started competitive swimming when I was 8 years old and stayed with competitive swimming throughout middle school, high school, and even college today. And so I've just solely been a swimmer all throughout high school. I did dabble in other sports as a kid, but I decided from an early age just to stick to one sport. I feel like because I was an athlete and because I had really high goals for myself in athletics, I had a very different experience than other kids in high school. Like I really had to sacrifice a lot of normal things that high school students would do. Like I don't think I ever attended a single high school party, and that's not because I didn't want to, it's just because so much of my time was focused on swimming and I didn't have a lot of time outside of swimming to do other things other than schoolwork. And looking back at it, I do think that it was worth it in the end, because I feel like a lot of what you can experience as a normal student in high school, you can always experience in college and after college. So I think if you really have a goal to attend a good college, or even just high goals for yourself in high school, it's really important to think about the sacrifices and whether or not it's worth it for you in your life. So I wouldn't say that the application process was different, but I would say that I was recruited. So I did have the Harvard swim coach, she did help me to put my name out there to the admissions. And so I think although that did help me, I still was in the same pool with other kids when they were looking at my application. So they were still comparing me with not only other athletes, but also other students. And all athletes in that area, I think their coach speaks on their behalf in admissions, and they basically try to nominate them and try to give them the best possible shot of getting in. But a lot of that, I mean, there's only so much your coach could do. A lot of it just has to come from you and the work that you've done before college and in high school, and just being prepared with a great application. And I think part of that is the SAT. I know that's something that my coach, our Harvard coach, stressed that I should improve on, is my SAT scores, because it's not just because you're an athlete you can automatically get in. You still have to work hard at every other aspect that other students are working hard at. And so although like the process was a little different with recruiting, the application itself wasn't too different than other students. I think like that's really hard to say, like a certain level you need to be as an athlete, because there are a lot of different levels of athletes here. So like there are people that are, Olympic route, and then there are people that are really good still for their sport, but they're not like top tier. And I think a lot of that comes down to other areas in your either academics or extracurriculars that you excel at. So I was saying like some athletes, they really excel in like their sport. And I think other athletes, they tend to excel more in their extracurricular or their academics. And so I think that it just like depends which one of those you excel more at. But I wouldn't say there's like a certain level that you need to be to get in. I think that just depends on like how good your extracurriculars and your academics are compared to your athletics. Yeah, I feel like at the very minimum, you should be, like on the varsity team in high school on your certain sport, and at least have attended like some sort of national level competition or some sort of competition where college coaches are watching you. I don't think it's really practical to be in a club sport where you're kind of just like going every 3 days to practice and expect to be recruited. I think it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of hard work. And I think maybe a benchmark would be like, what kinds of competitions have you competed at? Have they just been like in your area, or has it been within your state or within your country? And I think most top athletes, are pretty top in their state at least. And, the ones that are really good, obviously top in the country. Yeah, so I was also looking at Stanford and University of Texas and Duke. And I feel like I took trips to all 4 schools, and I think something that really set apart Harvard from everything else was just the fact that I enjoyed Boston a lot. And I think when you're looking at colleges, it's important to look at where you're going to be living for the next 4 years, because that's a big part of your college experience. And I think that being, growing up in California, I've always wanted to go to college somewhere outside of California and experience that and just get out of my comfort zone in that aspect. But I also really enjoyed the coaches at Harvard. I could tell that they not only were going to support me in my swimming, but also beyond swimming in my academics, and just like me as a person, they really valued that. Like they saw a lot of value in me. And another thing is that I think that I was really thinking of my life after college, and some schools I was looking at, I really couldn't see myself really gaining anything from that school that I could take beyond college. I really appreciate being surrounded by students that come from different backgrounds. I don't think I've ever been immersed in a culture with so much diversity, and just like going to the dining halls, or if I'm just like walking to class and meeting people, I get to hear about, like where they come from and their story and why they're here. And I think that's something that I had never really experienced before, is learning about other people and what they have to offer. And so I think that's something I really enjoy beyond just like the academics here. And another thing is just the inclusivity of every little community here. Like no one is ever not invited to be in certain communities or attend certain events. I think that it's really open, and everyone can experience anything, no matter what your background is or where you come from. Yeah, so it's actually a really tough decision, but I ultimately decided to take a gap year partly because of COVID, and I didn't want to attend school online Zoom. It was just really hard to learn in that way for me, and I felt like I wasn't retaining any information. And so I thought that it wasn't worth trying to push myself and to learn that way when I wasn't learning. And another reason is the swimming aspect of it. We weren't going to have a season, and I really didn't want to just compete 3 years instead of 4. And a big reason of why I am like an athlete in college is to swim and represent my school. And so that was also a big part of my decision. And then also I always just saw myself taking a gap year in college even before COVID happened. And I thought, if there's so many other reasons to take a gap year now, why not do it? And it was actually really nice, although I didn't have an internship or do anything academic career related. It was just nice having some time off and being with my family and traveling a little bit. Well, I definitely think if you're already thinking about taking a gap year, then you should take it. I know that from personal experience, I'm really glad that I took a gap year because it gave me a lot of time to reflect and grow as a person. And I think especially if you're taking a gap year for reasons of wanting to attend a better college, then you can really use that time to show other colleges that you're more interested in, how much you've grown as a person and broaden yourself. And so I think that if you're thinking about it, then yes, you should definitely take it. And there's no rush to get through college quickly or anything like that. Even if you're planning to go to graduate school, I think that everyone has their own timeline, and it's never a bad idea just to take some time for yourself and to grow or branch out and try something different that you hadn't before. For me, at least, I had already committed to college my junior year. And so a lot of stress was off my shoulders, and I was just prepared to have fun my senior year. But I think that, for a lot of students, that is time to submit your college application and to go through that process. So I'd say my advice would be to, not put too much pressure on yourself when you're applying to college as a senior. I think that you should trust that wherever you get accepted, it's meant to be, and that you've done all the hard work already. And there's nothing really you can do at this point to, give yourself a better chance. I think it's all, you have to trust in what you've done throughout high school and even before that. And I think just trusting yourself as a person, that the college will see that and that you'll be accepted into a school, whether or not it's your first choice or your last choice. You can still make the best of it when you get there. And it's not necessarily about the name of the college, but it's about what you do when you're at college and what you learn. And also just to enjoy your senior year, because it only happens once, and it's not worth stressing about too many minor things, because it's your senior year and you should go out and have fun and, take a little break sometimes.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for all of those. I mean, that basically wraps up our whole interview.